Week 7 International Football League featuring World of Matchups. Back off the bye, Dexter Reed, Las Vegas, Nevada. On the other side of the glass, my A1 from day one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Spencer the Wiz. Welcome back, bro. Ready
Yeah,
to
it
do
feels
this?
good. We need a bye week too, you know.
Yeah, we got lives, man. We got
Yeah,
lives, guys.
no, it feels
But
good.
we're,
I feel very refreshed.
yeah, me too. Back to bring the heat. Spencer, set it off.
Yeah, let's talk about an international game. I think this one's in Munich, right? That's what they do. That's what the other international one is. I was
London.
yeah, I was okay, I got you. I was in Mississippi last week, so that super early game wasn't as early for me since I was like 3 hours ahead. So it was kind of nice to watch football and then like it takes you into the 10 o'clock slate. So I'll give it credit for that, I suppose. But man, those international games are always just they're so terrible. Like they just pick the worst teams and I don't know, I guess they pack out those stadiums. And I'll just quickly say before I get into the breakdown, Roger Goodell is teasing that there could be an international Super Bowl. He's going nuts with this stuff, man. He really is. He's going crazy, but I hope that never happens. But in any case, you have a terrible, terrible, terrible matchup with the Patriots and Jaguars. We were right. Drake May was right around the corner, and they probably waited just a little bit too long for it. Not that it matters. Their season's over, but I mean, the kid had some pretty nice throws last week, so I liked him. He was like my favorite quarterback coming out of the draft. So it'll be interesting to see like who he kind of connects with, especially for fantasy reasons. You know, he may end up finding a guy, and that could like give them some relevancy because so far this year, not a single Patriots player has any sort of fantasy relevancy. And maybe he'll find like a Jalen Polk type of figure and start to catch a little bit of heat. I have no idea what's going to happen in this game, but this is on my teaser ticket on the side of the Patriots because I don't think the Jaguars should be favored against anybody in the National Football League right now. So the fact that I'm getting some points here, -6 for the Jaguars. So I teased it up to 12, obviously, for my 6 point teaser. That's about all I think I can say about this. I mean, the Jaguars are not a good team. The Patriots are not a good team. Both of these teams are just free falling into the season. And that's it's not good. So I guess like when it comes straight up to the spread, I'm going to take the Patriots. Like, what have you seen from the Jaguars that says, hey, man, they're going to win by more than a touchdown? I mean, a field goal, sure. 2 field goals, maybe, and you get a push, but blowing out anybody, it's so hard to see.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Jags here very reluctantly because it is an international game. There really is no home field advantage. So at that point, it's like, who's just a better team? And the Patriots are not good, man. And Drake May's a rookie. I know he flashed a little bit and looked okay in his first real action in the NFL, but the Jaguars have a decent defense. I think they're better than better than decent. And you really paid Trevor Lawrence a lot of money to come through here, man. And they have weapons, man. BTJ is legitimate as you're ever going to find from a rookie standpoint. I mean, he's quietly had probably the best rookie campaign so far from a wide receiver standpoint. He's healthy. He plays well every week. Christian Kirk is on his way out of Jacksonville. They're going to showcase him. I could see Christian Kirk being on the Chiefs in a couple weeks. I could really see that. I know that Etienne Jr. is banged up, but Tank Bigsby is enough to move the chains. And now they have back Evan Ingram. Dude, they have a complement of weapons here. They can score. A couple weeks ago, they should have taken down the Texans in Texas. This is a game that I could see them absolutely blowing out the Patriots. The Patriots are going to be running from behind all game long here. I know they have a decent defense, and I know nobody believes in the Jags. I don't believe in the Jags, but a touchdown wins you money. I can't really take the Patriots with confidence anywhere away from Foxborough. Jags -6 is the play.
Yeah, not kind of a barn burner, I'm sure. Let's jump over to the Seahawks and Falcons, a little bird bowl. This is a good game, although it seems like the Seahawks are trending in the wrong direction as of recent. They just haven't looked like that team that started. I think they were 3-0, and now they're 3-3, if I'm not mistaken. So that's terrible. And now they're playing a Falcons team that, yeah, I mean, we pretty much called it right on the dot. I mean, it takes time for a team that changes this much to get a little bit of momentum going because we knew it was there. All the pieces, literally everything they could possibly need. They had a late signing of Justin Simmons. They traded for Matthew Judon. Now their pass rush hasn't been great. That's probably one of their weak points so far this year. But in terms of their offense, man, Bijan had 2 touchdowns last week. I think it continues here. The Seahawks are actually super beat up. This could be like my best bet, actually. Uh, and I say that, and now, of course, the Seahawks will like burn me on the other side. But it's only a field goal, and I think Tyreek Woolen is like ruled out for this game. And I know they were dealing with some other ones too on the defensive side. That's not a place you want to be against the Falcons. It kind of seems like all the pieces are fitting in place for them. The Falcons are at home. It's almost like criminal that this is a field goal line. I actually don't almost understand it. So yeah, I like the Falcons a lot in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle. I like Seattle a lot in this game. I saw this line and I'm like, that's it? Like, what? I'm going to take Seattle plus those 3 points, man. The Falcons are good, yes, but no win that they've had has me mind blown. Not one. And when they play upper echelon teams, they find a way to lose these games, man. Dude, they lost at home to Pittsburgh opening day. I mean, let's pump the brakes on the Falcons. Kirk Cousins is a statue. Now I know Seattle comes into this banged up, but when you look at what Seattle has done in wins and losses, they score. They score. Dude, KW3 could be RB1. And Charbonnet's no slouch, so you know they can control the line of scrimmage by running the ball. Dude, Geno Smith, look at Geno Smith's passing this year. I think he's leading the league in throwing. DK Metcalf to the moon. JSN keeps coming along, and Lockett's just does what he does. Catches the ball and falls down, which is all you need him to do. How are they getting points in this game? This game should be a pick 'em at best. I don't know. I do like Drake London emerging. Yes, Bijan had finally had a decent game. And, they keep mixing Algier in, so the Falcons are going to come to play. But like you mentioned earlier, you alluded to it, man. Where's their pass rush? If you keep giving Geno time back there, man, he's going to find someone open. And Geno can still run. I know a lot of people think Geno Smith is nothing but a glorified backup, but Geno's good this year, man. That Ryan Grubb air raid attack scores points, and that's what you need to win games. You need to score points. And I think the 12th man defense, albeit injured, is still good enough to cover 3 points here. Give me the Seattle Seahawks and those points.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on. We're going opposite this week. It's the Titans and Bills. And wow, the Titans just somehow seem to get worse every single week almost. And I don't have a lot of confidence in them going into this game either. It's minus 8.5, which it seems like a lot, but you know what? I'm not scared of the number. Like, whatever. I'm not betting on a terrible team to cover points. It's just like it's a weird place to be in, and one I don't want to, because the Bills can run it up, and I could easily see that happening in this game. The Bills should just walk all over them. I mean, the Titans are going to be drafting a quarterback here, because the Raiders season is quickly derailing. So I'm starting to look at, positioning when it comes to teams at the top. Like who's going to, in the beginning of the year, maybe we say, oh, this team doesn't need a quarterback. This team doesn't. Will Levis is not going to be their quarterback next year. I don't see a conceivable way in which that happens. And I think you're going to see why in this kind of game. I mean, I don't see a world where he goes into Buffalo and suddenly like lights the world on fire. Now, maybe he will. Yeah, that seems to be like the fate of football these days. Whenever you think something obvious will happen, the opposite does. But I mean, nothing about them is good. Maybe their run game is good, and that's about all I can highlight for the Titans. For the Bills, they just seem to have it going, and I feel like this is just one of those games where they're at home and they'll just blow another team out. It seems to be what they do at home, like for the last 3 years.
I'm gonna take the Titans plus 8.5. I'm not sold on the Buffalo Bills, man. And you know what? I don't think Buffalo is sold on the Buffalo Bills. Because if they really were, why would you go get Amari Cooper? If you felt that good. I mean, you saw everything you needed to see when they played the Jets on Monday. The Jets gave that game away. They gave that game away, man. And I mean, you watch football as much as I watch football, so this is no slight to you. But I've seen Cincinnati go in there in the playoffs. I've seen Kansas City go in there in the playoffs. I saw Denver went in there in the regular season last year. I saw the Giants be a bad call away from taking a game. The Giants won the game and the rest gave it to the Buffalo Bills. Their home field advantage to me is non-existent. I mean, I know their fans show up, and I know the Bills Mafia is a real thing, but ain't nobody scared of going to Buffalo and playing unless you're scared of playing in the cold. Unless you're the Miami Dolphins, no one's really scared of them, okay? Like, I get Josh Allen is a Terminator, but he hasn't looked good at times this year. 8.5 to me is too much. They've come out and said that they're finally going to figure out a way of getting Calvin Ridley the ball in space. Enough of this going deep. The problem with the Titans, honestly, Spencer, is their coaching is absolutely horrendous. They're paying for firing Mike Vrabel. That's what they're paying for that now because they have talent. Hopkins is still good. Calvin Ridley is a good player. I don't care what anyone says. They use him. They just use him wrong. I mean, the biggest problem with them outside of the coaching is those Will Levis has rocks in his head, but they don't coach him to his strengths. They just say, everyone go long, and we're just going to throw it as far as we can. And if that doesn't work, we're just going to run Tony Pollard 3 times to the left. Guys, you got to be more creative. They come out and said they're going to try some new things this week. New things to me could turn into some balls in space. 8.5 is a lot of points, man. And who are the Bills blowing out? Who have the Bills beaten by 8.5 this year? They haven't beaten anyone by 8.5 this year, have they?
They blew out the Dolphins. They blew the hell out of the Dolphins.
They beat up the Dolphins without Tua. Okay, I'll give you that win. That's a big time signature win. But I think based off what everybody saw on Monday, they're just going to expect them to go in and annihilate Tennessee. And Tennessee still got decent pieces. L'Jarius Sneed's still good. Cooper's first game in, the rust is coming off. I mean, they just have a lot of different pieces. Dalton Kincaid has underachieved in my mind. I haven't used him well. James Cook is banged up with the toe. I mean, are we really, really expecting a rookie running back to run all over another team for the second week in a row, man? I don't think we're giving Tennessee enough respect. I know they're bad, but why they're bad is the issue, and it's correctable. I'll take 8.5 all day.
I feel like you're going to see Will Levis throw the worst pick six of your life, and you're going to regret that. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. But dude, this is the National Football League, man. 8.5 points is a lot of points. Anything can happen. A ball hits the turf, scoop and score. All of a sudden, you're getting backdoored. I don't trust the Bills. Right. I don't trust the Bills.
Let's switch over to the Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, the Browns are now. It's like Deshaun Watson's over. He won't play for the Browns after this year. I think it has to be cemented in stone. He can't throw over 300 yards in a football game anymore. So, I mean, what's the point of having him? They'll be drafting a quarterback here soon. And, yeah, I don't think this is necessarily the end of their little sale here. Amari Cooper, it's funny, man. Amari Cooper just doesn't change, dude. He just loses interest in his football team. That's just his career trajectory. He'll go somewhere. He'll have a 1,000-yard season. He'll look like he's going to be there until he retires. And then he just, I don't know, man. Maybe he just always needs a change of scenery. But it's funny. You just saw it with the Raiders. You saw it with the Cowboys. And then you saw it with the Browns. The guy just is like absent-minded sometimes. It's very, very strange. But yeah, the Bengals obviously are very desperate for this one. And like I said, I think the Browns are just collapsing. I think Kevin Stefanski gets fired at the end of the year. He'll last the season because they obviously want a quarterback. They're not going to, fire him to try to revitalize the season. They're 1-5. It's over, right? The season's over. They're going to want to get themselves in place for a Cam Ward type of guy. I don't think they're in contention for Shadur Sanders because I'm pretty sure Dion would just do anything in his power to make sure he doesn't go there. I mean, this is a bad franchise, and I know they're good at home, but I don't think they have any fight left. I don't. I think it just gets worse and worse for the Browns. It is a good place. They do have good home field advantages towards the top, but these fans are going to start bringing out the goofy signs. The back of the jersey, striking out the QB names. You'll see it on Sunday. I mean, they're going to come in droves just to make fun of the team. That's just how Browns fans are. And that's how it's always been for them. And the Bengals obviously need this. They still feel like, hey, we can get 10 wins. We can sneak in 9 wins. We can get into the wild card. Then we feel like we can do anything. Now, can they? I don't think so. But I think that's the mentality that they have. And they seem to have this kind of season every year where they just are trying to scramble to get it back to 500. and it's a division game, so 5.5 is a lot, but I'm just going to take the Bengals. I think they're trending it like in the right direction where they need to be, and the Browns are just are going to start tanking essentially. And I don't think they have to try. I think they're just falling apart.
Yeah, I agree with you on everything you said. I'm still going to take the Browns plus 5.5 at home. I believe that this matchup specifically in division is always a 3-point game. It just always somehow is. I think that while the Browns are horrendous now, I mean, they were horrendous with Amari Cooper. Sometimes less is more. I've seen this happen before where a player gets jettisoned and then all of a sudden the team just starts playing better somehow. I don't know how. I mean, is Cedric Tillman going to all of a sudden come off the shelf and be like Jerry Rice? I'm not expecting that. Am I expecting Deshaun Watson, Houston to show up? I'm not expecting that either. But what I am expecting is there to be a galvanization from Nick Chubb stepping on the field. And a lot of Browns fans are going to show up to see Nick Chubb tomorrow. And he's going to start. And Kevin Stefanski knows he's coaching for his job. Yes, he'll last a year, but next year is definitely on the table. It's in question. And so when you have these things and you are at home and you are a good home franchise, at least play for pride. Myles Garrett is still there. There's no rumblings of him being traded at all anytime soon. I don't think the fire sale continues. I think they got what they thought they could get from Cooper, who was disinterested, and now we're going to play with the guys we have. Jerry Jeudy, I've always liked. He just has not shown up for me. Will he show up now? I don't know. But I think the Browns' defense is good enough to keep this game within 5.5. Give me those points, man. Home dogs pay dividends. I think Nick Chubb being back is going to be a bigger piece of, interest than a lot of people are willing to give credit for. I mean, Nick Chubb had one of the worst leg injuries I've ever seen. And the guy is squatting 600, you know what I mean, with no help. I mean, these videos are out there. You can't Photoshop these things. And so one of the biggest problems the Browns have had to date is that they can't run the ball. If they can at least run the ball and sustain drives somewhat and just get footsteps around Joe Burrow. This is what I know about Joe Burrow. If you get near him, he's a different quarterback. 5.5 doesn't sound like too much, but I think the whole world's going to be on Cincy. I'll take the Browns.
One of us can have a really good week. One of us is not. I could feel it. We will see. So let's jump over to the next slate of games here. We have the Texans and Packers. That's going to be a really, really good game. Man, the Texans just seem like a hard team to assess. I know they're 5-1, but I don't know. It's just feel like you don't know what you're going to get out of them on a weekly basis. This is almost feels like it should be the Sunday night game, to be honest. I hate how they're putting like Aaron Rodgers in all these primetime games. It's getting kind of annoying, in my opinion. I feel like they overdid it. It's like the Jets are never going to be that good. I mean, geez Louise, and I guess, you have Devontae Adams now, but they didn't know that before the season started, obviously.
Or maybe they did.
Yeah, I know, right? No kidding. You're right. So the Packers are favored -2.5. Yeah, I mean, they're in Lambeau, and I think I tend to agree. I think I tend to agree that I could definitely see them, especially being at home, right? And I think they could actually go play, against them. It could be flip-flopped, and I still think the Packers could win this game. They seem to be catching a pretty good stride, and they even had that whole drama with Romeo Doubs, but their defense is just playing at such a high level right now. I like the over in this game, even though I just talked about how good the defenses are. For some reason, man, it just feels like, Jordan Love he's wheeling and dealing right now. It's kind of crazy. If he didn't get hurt, he'd be in contention for MVP, I feel like. Just like he was last year. I think he's just going to miss one too many games. But yeah, at home, I'm telling you, this team just gets rocking, man. It could be the best home field advantage in the entire National Football League. And when they're playing well, it only just increases, multiplies on itself when they have that momentum and the fans can just feel it, One of the best fan bases in the NFL, I will say. They just love their team, and they love to see them play really hard, and they play really hard for them. But, I think this is going to be a great game. I mean, it's almost a shame that this isn't 10 o'clock. I mean, for sure. But I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, this is game of the week as far as I'm concerned, and it's an absolute crime that it is a 10 o'clock game. I'm so sick of Aaron Rodgers. I'm so sick of these stupid matchups that they keep forcing down the throats of the NFL fans that want to watch good football before they go to bed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. And I have been to Lambeau Field twice. It is an absolute dream. It's an unbelievable stadium. It's an unbelievable fan base. The people are so nice, man. If you have ever got an opportunity to go to Lambeau Field to see a football game, whether it's your team or not, please do so. Their tailgates only rival Kansas City and Buffalo. Everything they have there going on is fire. That being said, I'm going to take them as well. I just feel like once a year there is a matchup like this where you're just like, man, this can go either way for either team. And if this team gets this W, now we are really looking at them in the next tier. And I think that's what you're going to have here. And the only reason that they're favored by 2.5 is because Nico Collins is on IR. And I think that's going to be the difference. If Nico Collins was healthy, I would be taking Houston here. Houston is 5-1, but they're kind of a paper 5-1. You know what I mean? Like, they've won the games that they've needed to win for sure, but they just haven't looked, to me, as good as they did last year. Where's Tank Dell? Joe Mixon is kind of 100%, kind of not. There's just so many weapons in Green Bay, and Jair Alexander's finally going to be healthy and play this game, which that's the top cover corner on their team. Going to probably be on Stephon Diggs. Now, who are you really throwing to the ball? The ball to. I mean, Dalton Schultz is Tank Dell. I mean, you really need a heavy-duty run game from Joe Mixon, and I don't know if they're going to get it this week. And they have so many weapons in Green Bay. I mean, they got Tucker Kraft is coming on. You know what I mean? Romeo Dobbs is almost a number one, number two on any other team. Jaden Reed is a monster. Josh Jacobs is very, very good. Love can throw. Love can run. Guys, bend and don't break, and this is a W. This is my best bet. Packers minus 2.5 all day.
Moving on to the Miami Dolphins versus the Colts. Man, I hate the Colts so much, dude. It's okay. I'll say last week I lost my fantasy. I had Anthony Richardson in. I was on vacation, so I just wasn't checking it like I normally do. And I'm not trying to make excuses. It is my fault ultimately. But the reports all week. He's practicing, and then like an hour before the game, suddenly he's not playing. It's like I miss when fantasy football they had the probable tag, the questionable, and the doubtful. You just so you knew just a little bit more. And now it's just like everybody's questionable. Doesn't matter if the guy's like leg is hanging by a thread, but it's about to fall off, or he has a bruise on his rib. It's like there's no difference anymore. But Anthony Richardson should be back in this one. And it's the Dolphins season. As injuries, it's like, what's new for this team? I don't like the direction. I mean, I don't even know if you want to call it a direction. I don't know what to make of the Miami Dolphins because they can never get healthy enough to make a run every year. And obviously, I'm going to take the Colts here. I think Anthony Richardson has a pretty good game. I think the Dolphins have been like the number one team against the pass this year, if I'm not mistaken, but that matters very little when you can't get the ball past half field. I mean, it's musical chairs at the quarterback position. It's only a field goal, and you get the Colts at home. It almost doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just going to – the Colts are playing pretty decent football right now. I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them with quite a bit of confidence here.
Doesn't make sense to me either, which is why I'm taking the Dolphins. Because normally I would just take the Colts here off top, just based off of what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense to me. Anthony Richardson has been bad all year, and when he's been, and that's when he's played, he hasn't even been around. Michael Pittman's back could seize up at any moment. Well, that leaves you with what? Trey Sermon, Jonathan Taylor's out, Alec Pierce. Yeah. I mean, there's no tight end to speak of. I mean, this is a trap waiting for you to fall in it like I've never seen before in my life. Because why? Miami's so awful. They're only awful because Tua's not there, guys. And Tua's coming back next week. The practice window has officially been opened. He's coming back. Everyone else is healthy. Jalen Ramsey's there. Tyreek Hill's still there. Arshan's cleared concussion protocol. Mostert's there. Wright's there. Waddle's there. They have players, guys. And listen, the combine is held there for a reason at Lucas Oil Stadium, another stadium that I've been to. Fantastic stadium. If you ever get a chance to go there, they love their Colts. Go check it out, guys. It's like no other stadium in the NFL, but the combine is held there for a reason, guys. The 40 is held there for a reason. Speed. What do the Dolphins have? Speed. If Huntley can just make a couple plays in this game, they're covering that 3 points, man. I do not trust the Colts at all, anywhere, at any time. They're one gone wrong thing from getting blown out by anybody every single week. And I've really I've invested too much faith in this team, and I'm just not doing it this week because normally I would run with them, and all of a sudden Miami loses a 2-point game. You know what I mean? Or they kick a field goal and I push. I'll take the Dolphins here, man. Just off a win. Mike McDaniel knows that he is also coaching for his job. There's a lot of guys right now that know they may not be back next year. And so he's just like, guys, if we could just get to next week, we get Tua back, and now we are back because Tua is the straw that stirs the drink. So Huntley, don't blow this. This is going to be the Devon Arsham game. I'm calling it right now. Miami +2.
The Colts almost wish
Plus
that Joe
three,
Flacco
plus
was
three.
playing.
They almost wish. Thank you. I'll tell you what, Spencer. That's a great point. If Joe Flacco was starting this game, I would take Indianapolis.
Yeah, no, I can totally understand that. This is another great matchup this week. Another game that deserves to be in the Sunday night slot versus what they already have here. It's the Lions and Vikings. I don't know. The Vikings are just obviously the surprise team of the year, and this is going to be a really great game. I mean, it's like, how much more legitimate can the Vikings be? I don't know, but like, if they were to win this game, like, what do you say at that point? Like, literally, what do you say? Are they Super Bowl contenders? I mean, what else do they have to do before anyone has to say, like, all right, yeah, they're gonna have to go like undefeated, and then are people gonna say it? You know, it's just crazy. It's like, it's just so hard to believe and see. You know, they just thinking about their off season. It started out so terrible. They draft JJ McCarthy. He goes out. You know, they traded Danielle Hunter. They did have a good draft though, so they're just they have been running their team very smartly, I suppose, for many years now, and they're just seeing the fruits of their labor. Sam Darnold being what he is, that's obviously the surprise. I mean, I think you and I like Sam Darnold. You know, like I was never like he's the worst quarterback ever. I always felt like he got the short end of the stick when it came to the Jets. But to say that I thought he would be this good this year, no, that's an absolute lie. I wish I could say that and say that I could see that far into the future, but I can't. I just wanted to pull up his stats real quick because it really is kind of like he's got 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and he also has 1,111 yards. I don't know. It's like this guy is just he's throwing some really good footballs, and he also plays under one of the best coordinators or head coaches in the NFL. I mean, this when it comes to offensive minds, and sometimes, you know, we always make fun of system quarterbacks too. I feel like there's such a stigma against it. You know, like the Matt Ryans of the world. It's like, what does it matter if you're throwing for like 4,000 yards and a bunch of touchdowns? It's like, that just means that your quarterback or your coach is playing to your strengths. Like, that's what every coach should do. You know, it doesn't matter. Who cares if a quarterback is a system quarterback? If it works for them, like Jared Goff and the Lions, you know, and you can even go back to the Rams and stuff. When these guys are put in the right positions to win, they'll win it for you. And then you're just seeing that with the Vikings. It's so hard to take them, but because it just looks like the Lions are kind of like in that mode where they're unstoppable right now. Oh, wow, the Vikings are favored -1.5. That is unreal. You know what? I don't know. I'm going to take the Lions because can't you just see Dan Campbell trying to go for 2 at the worst possible time? Like, you know, and it's going to be like that +1 or something. I don't know. It's too hard to take the Vikings in this game. It definitely wouldn't shock me considering how they played this year, but I got to take Detroit, man. They just look like they have so much momentum. They look like pretty much the scariest team in the league. When they're clicking on offense, it's like, you can't stop them. Now, I know they played a very terrible, terrible, terrible Dallas team last week, and it's almost like unfair to assess them like that, but I don't know. The Lions just look that good right now. They had a little shaky start to the season, and now it's like, man, they are just riding the wave.
It's because the Lions are that good, bro. My NFC Championship game prediction is starting to take shape. You know, if Nick Sirianni could just get out of his feelings, the Eagles will be heading to Detroit with Eminem and the Pimps there hosting the NFL's NFC Championship game. I don't believe in the 49ers anymore. You know, then the only reason that the Vikings are favored in this game is because Aiden Hutchinson is dead. That's it. You know what I mean? If he was still with us, this would be a pick 'em.
That was terrible.
How is this game not Monday Night Football? I mean, you schedule makers, what are you guys thinking about, man? I mean, I get it because and look, Spencer and I were completely wrong. I mean, to me, I had Vikings under 6 as a lock. They're
crazy.
about they could win 6 in their first 6 games. So I mean, I look like a complete fool too. So don't get me wrong, I'm not coming from some high horse here. That's as wrong as I've been on anything in decades. But I think this is a bad spot for them to be favored in, even though they're coming off a bye. And I'll tell you why. Aaron Jones ain't 100%, man. He's got a hit pointer. He's going to try to go, but I don't know. I mean, I like Ty Chandler, but still, as your starting running back's not 100%. That's dangerous. Number 2, is Sam Darnold and this team really going to go 6-0 versus a really good team? I know they're home, okay, but I just don't see it. TJ Hawkinson might be back versus former team, might not be back. So the juice is there, guys. The juice is there. But I don't see the Vikings as being a 6-0 team, especially when you have to go up versus what is now, in my mind, they're a juggernaut. I have liked the Lions since they were a 4-win team. Spencer will tell you this, guys. I've been on them way before everyone else. As soon as Goff got there, I was like, guys, watch out. They're going to build something here. I've been scouting Dan Campbell for years. I'm like, they got something. Now, he makes some bonehead moves, but he hasn't done that really much this year, Spencer.
No, not this year.
I think a conversation was had. I do. I think a conversation was had.
He got that gambler's high last year, man.
Dude,
seriously.
Gave away an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and I know for a fact a conversation was had. A dinner was had, and I'm telling you, what I saw last week from the Lions, there was a lot of Andy Reid to Dan Campbell last week. I mean, they were stunting all over Dallas. Running reverses, pitches, flea flickers, offensive linemen catching. I mean, it was just an absolute circus.
Truthfully, they have to do it this year because Ben Johnson is not going to be their offensive coordinator next year.
He's going to
be the head coach of another football team. And I'm not to say that, like, if they didn't have Ben Johnson, I'm not going to say they're a bad team just because they have so much talent, but like he really truly is like one of the driving forces behind.
He takes it to the next level. He's one of the best OCs,
one of the best offensive minds in the NFL right now.
And you saw it last week. I mean, I know Dallas is no world beater, especially
they're doing laterals. Like they're running slants, which turns into laterals. It's crazy what
there
was able to do.
No game I watched this year where I saw a team do whatever they wanted, like I saw last week. And so when you're playing at such a high level, you re-sign David Montgomery. Now he's paid. Everyone's paid up. I think they go into Minnesota, and I think they win the game outright. I'll take the points as well. Jared Goff, to me, is the most underrated quarterback in the National Football League. Guys, I've been singing his praises for years. When are you guys going to wake up and understand? It's talent, but it is also system. It's system. And Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl, man. I mean, the guy is a decent
5,000-yard season too, right?
Jared Goff is a good quarterback, man, and he is surrounded by weapons galore. And they really haven't gotten Sam Laporta going yet either. I love the Lions in this game, man. It wouldn't surprise me to see them get knocked off, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, at some point, I think that Sam Darnold, the luster is going to fall off a little bit. When you play up tomato cans, they're going to beat up those teams. You know what I mean? But the Lions have Super Bowl on their mind. They're a legitimate team. Give me those 1.5 points.
All I'm saying is that if Jared Goff wins a Super Bowl with the Lions at some point and he plays another like 4 years, he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, because he's gonna be over like 45,000 passing yards in his career. He's had multiple 4,500 yard, like 4,500 yard seasons.
Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback.
He's got to win a Super Bowl, but
I will debate this with anybody. I will debate this with anyone. I will debate it with my last breath. Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. You cannot talk me off this. Next.
Yeah, let's talk about the Eagles and Giants. I hate betting on the Eagle or like any game that involves the Giants. It just sucks because you just never know what you're going to get out of them. Now, last week my best bet was the Bengals, and they did take care of business against the spread there. I don't know. Malik Neighbors is going to be back. It's not a good place when your team is depending on Devin Singletary to come back from injury. Just a very measly team. They'll be drafting a quarterback too, obviously, going into next season. The only reason that teams like the Giants and teams like the Browns stick with their quarterbacks is because they're paying them so much. If these guys weren't on big deals, they would have been benched weeks ago. I mean, that's just how bad it is. And it's how bad those contracts were. Some of the worst in NFL history, both of them. And I know that New York's at home. And the Eagles really didn't play great last week. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Browns, they really do have a great defense. Like, I think Kevin Stefanski is in over his head a little bit. Like, there are some coaches who are just not meant to be head coaches. Some guys just work really well as defensive coordinators, and I just kind of feel like that's what you're getting. Nick Sirianni is what's bringing this team down, and you can just see it. He does like the Britney Spears thing where he shaves his head. It's like, seriously, what are you doing, dude? You're trying to this team has the talent to win a Super Bowl, and you're just like goofing around, being weird, man. He chirps with the fans on the sidelines. He's just not all there. I don't know what it is with him, but I just can't bet on the Giants. I guess that's really what it comes down to. And yeah, I like the Eagles. They should be, 4-1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I know it's in New York. I just don't think that matters, man. This Giants team is not good. I mean, if Malik Neighbors plays, it's obviously a big plus. It's a division game. They're almost always close. All of those things obviously are a factor, but it's only -3. It could be a push, I suppose, those division games. But if I'm going to be on the side of a push, I'm going to be on the side of the Eagles. I'm not betting on a terrible football team like the Giants.
Yeah. I watched that entire game last week versus the Cincinnati Bengals, and I will probably never bet I will never bet the Giants again.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, they're horrendous. Danny Dimes is so bad, man. This offense is horrible, and it sucks because you know what's going to happen? They're going to fire Brian Dable, and they're going to bring in a coach that's not as good as him, and they're going to still be bad. They're going to be bad. They're horrible, man. Now, I'm no lover of the Eagles. I think Nick Sirianni's a complete and utter idiot. You know what I mean? To be chirping at your own fans after an ugly W. That was the worst win in the National Football League this year. And then you bring your kids to the press conference so you don't get grilled about it. The whole Britney Spears shave your head thing. Literally, if they lose this game to the Giants, Nick Sirianni should be fired.
Yeah.
He should be fired. Okay? Because you're wasting talent at this point. This is going to be the Saquon Barkley revenge game. I don't see a world where the Eagles don't blow the Giants out here. Smith and Brown are both healthy. Goddard is out. But your wings are healthy. And, Jalen Hurts just hasn't looked great this year, man. I'm telling you, man, Jason Kelce leaving this team has set this team on a different trajectory. I think they will go far, but they just don't look the same. They need to beat a team to death to really get back in my good graces, and Sirianni needs to shut up. And I think I could see both those things happening here because the Giants are really that putrid. Devin Singletary's a nobody. Tyrone Tracy's good, but he's going up against a real front four here. And, I mean, Neighbors is concussed and going to, concerts. Yeah, I mean, he has cleared the concussion protocol, but, his quarterback is Daniel Jones. I mean, I took a 4-1 bet that Neighbors would lead all rookies in receiving yards. So, I mean, I need this. Because, I was plus 250. How do you say no?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? $50, but God, after watching them last week, they were so bad. And their defense played hard. They played hard, and Big Blue will show up, but I just can't do it, man. Daniel Jones is that bad. And here's the key, and I don't know why, because under Brian Dable and Josh Allen, they let Josh Allen run all over the world. They don't let Daniel Jones run anymore. When Daniel Jones had 16 touchdowns and went to Minnesota and won a playoff game, his strength that year, he got paid $160 million because of his legs. The guy does not run much, which means if you can't run, you can't win with this Giants offensive line and team. Eagles -3 is a play.
Let's jump over to the afternoon game, starting with the Raiders. I don't know. I have a few things to say about the Raiders. I would say one thing that's been the reality of what people believe to be like, well, it's been a bad season. So I guess I don't really know how to describe it, but on some level, people are being overly dramatic. This has been a very injury-riddled season for the Raiders, and it's like you expect to play against Pittsburgh without your top two wide receivers. You know, Christian Wilkins is out, and suddenly, because the Raiders lose, it's like it's a nuclear disaster. It's like if any other team was injured that much, everyone would be like way different about the opinion on it. But that's just the nature of Raiders media, where everyone just has to be like, it's just the craziest thing ever. You know, it's like doom or gloom. The Raiders just haven't been right all year. They missed a game with Max Crosby. You know, they're kind of limping into the season here. They lost their starting safety in Marcus Epps, who played really, really well last year. And it looked like he was going to be playing good this year. So, you know, the pieces just haven't fallen right. Now, obviously, the biggest issue for the Raiders, and it's always been that way for the past 20 years, they don't have a quarterback. So I'm hoping, like, with all of this, with all of the injuries and everything, that they can continue just to work their way towards a top 10 pick, because I really feel like if they had a quarterback this year or next year, you know, that's the difference between the Raiders being 2-4 and like 4-2. I mean, some of these games have been that close. And, you know, look back to that Broncos game. Imagine they had a quarterback who could play. I mean, that quarterback's putting them up 17-3 or whatever it was at that time. And they go on to win that game without a doubt, because the Broncos can't score points like that. So it's always just a game of inches, and the Raiders like seem to lose every single time in that category. And even last week, man, it was so close, right? A couple of dumb roughing the passer calls lead to points. A touchdown that's missed by the referees turns into a fumble. I mean, that game was a lot closer than the scoreboard indicated. I don't know what to think of them this week, and I don't know. I just get really nervous about these kinds of matchups. Like the Raiders, you almost, as a fan, I want them to lose, because the Rams could be looking for a quarterback next year. There's no guarantee that Matthew Stafford's around. Dude was in a suit doing preview last week. Like he's getting ready for his TV career already in the middle of a season. It's like, shouldn't you be at the team facilities for your bye week, bro? Like, what are you doing on Sunday suited up like this? It's like he's already halfway out the door. You know, their season's fumbling. So it's just another team for the Raiders that are going to have to leapfrog for a quarterback. And that's just the position they've been in for so long. I don't know. Jacoby Myers is going to be out for this game, and I just don't think that they can score enough points. You know, I think they never play well in Los Angeles. You know, it doesn't matter where the Raiders play; they don't care either. They'll win and lose in any location in the United States or internationally. It doesn't matter to them. Even though there's going to be a ton of Raiders fans there, probably more than the Rams fans. It's almost like a home game for them. None of that has mattered in the past, and yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to assess this team when they're just gutted, and they're just super gutted right now. And some of the most important players in the team are out. So I'm going to take the Rams. But the one thing I want to say about Davante Adams, he's just another Randy Moss. He proved to the world that he doesn't care about winning. I don't know if he ever has. Maybe in the beginning of his career, he just wants his targets, and as long as he gets his targets, it doesn't matter how good or bad the team is. Because he demanded the trade to a 2-4 team, and he knows that Aaron Rodgers is going to force him the ball 1,000 times, and he'll have a 1,200-yard season. He'll have 8 to 10 touchdowns, and he'll be good, right? They're not going to make the playoffs, and he'll be satisfied as all can be. That's what I think about him. You know, it just nothing changes for some of these guys, man. It's almost like it's not worth having a top 3 wide receiver, just because this is what they're always like. They're like divas, and the Chiefs were like, saw the writing on the wall with Tyreek Hill, man. They're like, this guy is too much. You know, it's like, we appreciate your talent, dude. If you cared about winning, you could be Jerry Rice. You know what I mean? Like, Jerry Rice was that good, and he had the attitude to be that good. But all these guys like Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, you know, Jamar Chase is the same way too. It's like, man, you are one of the best.
Stephon Diggs.
to ever lace it up. You're one of the best ever, but your ego just lets you just get so in the way that it prevents you from ever winning a meaningful game. And that's all I saw of Davante Adams. And he goes on Instagram, he makes these posts, he's on TV every week. That's just how these guys are. I mean, I'm glad he's gone. And you know what? Good for Tom Telesco for not paying a single dime out of this guy's contract next year. It's like $30 million. And he's off the books. He's done a really good job cleaning up this team. I will say the Raiders were never going to win a playoff game this year, regardless of how the season went. So everyone could pump the brakes on that. And silently, the Raiders had a really, really good draft. The guy who they drafted, a rookie right tackle last week, had held TJ Watt to 0 sacks. 0. And of course, they got one of the best players in the draft, Brock Bowers. He's like the best tight end in the league already. And he's only in like week 6. So I'm silently liking what the team is doing. There's a lot of cleaning up to do, obviously, most importantly at the quarterback position. But everyone just needs to calm down about the Las Vegas Raiders for this year because they were never going to do anything. But, the season's going to be a bit of a disaster. You're going to have to hold on. You're going to have to keep the team together, before it crumbles apart and they have to, explode the team. They're not there yet. They can go into next season with around the same team if they have a good off season. So I think they continue to lose. I like the Rams this week, but everyone just relax on the Raiders.
I like the Raiders this week. If you don't want to be here, go.
Yeah, they're probably going to be pretty galvanized.
You want to be here? Go. Davante Adams has never won a championship. You want to go? You want to go play with your butt buddy Aaron Rodgers in a 2-4 New York Jet team that has this mystique that they're actually going to somehow go to the Super Bowl? Go. Goodbye. And we're not paying any of it. Get out of here. We don't want you. That's going to galvanize this team. Less is more, man. Less is more. Let me tell you something about the Raiders. And I know that they'll never do this because it's their mystique. It's who they are. It's their aura. But if the Raiders got a head coach that actually was a disciplinarian, the Raiders would be a playoff team. You get that and a starting quarterback, franchise quarterback, and you would see the real Raiders because the team has talent. But you have a rah-rah guy with rah-rah players that don't want to, follow any rules. They want to break all laws. They want to get in trouble. And they need Bill Belichick. That's what the Raiders need. That's what they need. The best thing that happened to the Raiders is Tom Brady coming on board because he will show you guys how to win. You guys don't know how to win. This is not a joke. This is professional football with the goal of winning a Super Bowl, and there is not a player on your team, in staff, in-house, anywhere that knows anything about that. You might have the will and the drive to do that, but it starts at the top. Owner, GM, HC, OC, DC, starting QB. Look at all the winning teams. Look at Kansas City. They have all those things, and they have the attitude. No one holds anyone accountable. Start by getting rid of these bums off your team and build a bully. You've got a defense that can compete, but you don't have the people in charge. Antonio Pierce is over his head, bro. But I do think that this is going to be a week where everyone's like, there's no way that the Rams aren't going to blow out the Raiders. Cooper Kupp's going to come back. Dude, the Raiders are going to play hard in this game, dude. This is a home game for the Vegas Raiders, man. Give me those 7 points. Puka Nacua is still out. I don't even care if you funneled 30 targets to Cooper Kupp, man. Just hold Kyren Williams down. You guys are about to lose Max Crosby. His attitude is waning too. You need this W in the worst way. The Raiders need this W more than the Rams do. Raiders +7 is the play. And get some discipline or you're never going to win. Next.
Yeah, I just want to say the one thing that I see Raiders fans saying that Al would never let Tom Brady into the building. It's like, dude, Al only cared about winning at any point in time. It's like, this is one of the best decisions I think the franchise has made in a really long time. This guy has connections. He also knows what it means to win football games. So I would absolutely bring Tom Brady.
He's a winner. So you are perennial losers, and you're inviting a guy that actually wants to be there in the building to win. Why would you say no?
He's going to help draft a quarterback. He's going to have an influence on head coaches coming in the building.
Why would you say no? Everything Tom Brady's ever touched turned to gold. Why would you say no? Why? Because that's the mentality of the Raiders. You're a loser, poverty mentality franchise, and it's time for it to change.
Yeah, I hope it does. I'm excited for the direction they're going, despite
the AFC West deserves better.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump over to the Panthers and Commanders game. Carolina's been competitive, I suppose, since Andy Dalton's been in. They're going to draft a quarterback too. I was talking about this. I guess they have to. I mean, I don't think they. I think they feel like it is a Trey Lance level mistake, which is unreal, man. This is such a terrible frame. The Panthers are, it's like sometimes I have to remind myself that the Raiders aren't the only bad franchise in the NFL. It's like they're actually worse, and it like doesn't feel possible. But the Panthers are like that. I honestly don't understand how you give up on Bryce Young as it's gone on. It's like, okay, either he'll figure some things out or he'll be so bad that he's going to play you into the first overall pick. I mean, Andy Dalton's going to pick up a dumb win at some point this season, and it's going to ruin their first overall pick chance, right? They're not going to get a Cam Ward. It's like if you really think Bryce Young is that bad, the guy who you spent all that, draft capital on, then play him so he's so bad that he plays you into it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Andy Dalton he's just decent enough, man. It's not going to happen this week. Washington played a pretty good game against the Ravens. They were very commendable effort against a Ravens team that is like starting to pick it up like quite a bit. Yeah, this is on my teaser, so I feel really confident about that in this way. But it seems like a lot of points, but I don't know. The Commanders can score, and I just don't think that the Panthers defense is good enough to like keep this game as close as they'd want it to be. It's 9.5. So many points. That's a lot. I don't know. I'm just gonna say I'm not scared of points this week. That's gonna be my mentality. I'll say the Commanders just run all over them, and their offense is just clicking on all cylinders. So I'll take the Washington Commanders. Not my favorite bet of the week. I love it on the tees. Don't love the 9.5, but since I had that mentality earlier in the slate, I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to say these home teams have this ability to really have these marquee blowout wins.
I'm going to take the Panthers plus 9.5. Commanders have not proved to me that they can blow anybody out outside of the win they had in Arizona. I mean, Panthers have some talent. They're playing better under Andy Dalton. Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson are not bad, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's worse. You know what I mean? Chuba Hubbard, man, has been like an unsung hero for the running back room of the National Football League. This team can keep it close. You know what I mean? If Bryce Young was a quarterback, I'd say 31-3 final Commanders, but 9.5? That's a lot, man. That's a lot. This is an NFL franchise that's going to be playing not too far from home. I'm going to take Dave Canales and the Panthers to pull, a mini miracle and cover the 9.5. I do think the Commanders will win this game. This is great for teaser purposes. Tease the Commanders to death because they're going to win the game. Coming off a loss, Jaden Daniels is going to run wild. We know this, but 9.5, man, sounds a bit much to me. I mean, I don't have any other rationale behind it besides that. It just seems like a lot to me to lay versus a team who really, this time last year, Washington was one of the worst teams in history. The defense was one of the worst, going to Dallas and getting them doors blown off week in, week out. They're just bad. Are they that much better now? Something about this spot kind of has me worried. I think I like the Commanders on the road more than I like them at home. You know what I mean? I'm going to take those 9.5 points. There's no real reasoning behind it. I just smell a rat.
Let's jump over to one of the marquee matchups this week. It's the Chiefs versus the 49ers. I don't like the 49ers in this game. I mean, I know they're at home, but I've seen the Chiefs go to San Francisco and blow this team out plenty of times before. I know McCaffrey's like starting to get back for them. I don't know. I feel like there's a world where Shanahan doesn't coach for the 49ers next year, and they go to 3-4. That's a big disappointment, especially after giving Brandon Ayuk $1 gazillion for no reason.
He has done nothing.
He stinks, man. I mean, I've never seen anything from him that commanded him to have like the most, like some of the biggest bucks when it comes to the wide receiver position.
I would have traded him for whatever I could have got for him.
They tried to like band-aid this whole team to try to get things going, and that's just, I don't know. I don't like that. They should have had the mentality, man, of next man up, and I think that would have galvanized the team a lot more.
You drafted Pearsall for a reason, bro.
Yeah.
Now you're out $30 million, and you paid your left tackle, who's 40 years old too.
And it's not, and they haven't gotten anything for it other than some terrible losses. So, I mean, the Chiefs I know the Chiefs are like undefeated, but they haven't played great. I think not one time this entire season. So it's kind of an ugly game. I'd be shocked if the 49ers won. I just don't think they're playing good enough football to win this game this year. So they're favored by 2. I love the Chiefs in this one. I would seriously be surprised if the 49ers won. I know they're at home, but I don't think that matters. They just don't look like the same team this year.
Yeah. They don't look like the same team this year at all. Hey, Siri, what's Patrick Mahomes' record as an underdog?
Mahomes is 7-3 straight up and 8-1-1 against the spread as an underdog in his career. He has rarely ever been an underdog in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This answer is from actionnetwork.com.
I mean, beside the fact that I'm a Kansas City Chief fan, those stats right there are why I cannot take. I can't take San Francisco, and San Francisco is due. They have not beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in a decade. Patrick Mahomes is 4-0 versus this team, and 2 of the most unbelievable come-from-behind wins I've seen from any quarterback in the history of the league. If they were ever going to lose a game, this would be it. No Pacheco, no Hollywood, no Rasheed, old Kelsey, a corpse of Juju Smith-Schuster, and a rejuvenated Kareem Hunt. A left tackle that is suspect, a right tackle that is heavily penalized. I mean, you want to talk about a Chiefs team that is got horseshoes up their ass. This is it. I mean, the time to take down Kansas City is now. They have major issues. Don't let these casual Kansas City Chief fans fool you. You take it from someone that watches this team year in and year out, week in and week out. They're not as good as the team that played last year. But somehow they're 5-0. Now, I think they need to bring in a wide receiver. I do think it happens. I think Christian Kirk is on the table. I think Deontay Johnson is on the table. I think a couple other guys out there they could bring in. Don't be surprised if MVS gets signed before game time. I mean, this is what Kansas City does. They just recycle old parts because, guys, it is not the player. It is the system. I told all of you about Juju Smith-Schuster. Look what happened. I'm telling you, this is what Andy Reid does. I think the Niners don't have any heart. If the Niners had any heart, they would murder Kansas City tomorrow. They have no heart, dude. They let teams like Arizona go in their building and come from behind and win. They let teams come from behind and win all the time. Debo is always hurt. Ayuk is overpaid. Purdy is overrated. And I mean, Kittle is the only real threat to Kansas City here because they don't cover tight ends well. But I just think Andy Reid has Shanahan's number, man. And I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. I will go down with fighting with Patrick Mahomes every single time. And if I lose money, oh well. I will not bet against Patrick Mahomes. I told you this all last year. Guys told you this in the playoffs. All of you went broke. Patrick Mahomes is the most functional quarterback in the history of the National Football League at his position in his first 7 years. And his acumen for the game is enough to cover this 2 points. How they're going to do it, it might just be on the leg of Harrison Butker. But this is the reason why you gave Harrison Butker the highest paid field goal kicker in the league money. I think the Chiefs win this game. I think it's very, very close. I think it's very, very tight. But that Niner home field means nothing to me. That bang, bang Niner gang, it means absolutely nothing to me. To me, they are a bunch of frauds. They are a bunch of, to have that much talent and never have a Super Bowl because is absolutely egregious. Give me the Chiefs all day. I don't feel super confident about it because they could easily be 1-5, but this is championship pedigree coaching and playing, and I think that's enough to win you the game. Chiefs +2 is a play.
Let's jump over to this barn burner that they are forcing on us. It's the Jets and Steelers.
Disgraceful.
You know, Devontae Adams' hamstring magically heals after traveling to New York. They must have some really good doctors over there. Justin Fields is not good. Okay, I know
he's not. Well, both quarterbacks are going to start, Spencer, but they just literally just now named Russell Wilson the starter.
Mike Tomlin, he can't stand having a good season, man. He's like, we got to get back to our 9-8 ways. I'm taking the Jets, man. The Steelers are such a bizarre football team. It's like they put so much respect on the veteran presence. It's like, Who cares, dude? I would rather win football games, whoever my quarterback is. That you're going to totally just stop all the momentum that you had. I mean, on some, I don't know, on some level, I get it. Like, I watched Justin Fields get bailed out on multiple times. Like, he had a terrible interception last week against the Raiders that just got absolutely freaking bailed out by a garbage call. He overthrew some guys, but at the end of the day, he put up points for them when he got the opportunities. Russell Wilson stinks. I don't know. The Jets are going to be pretty galvanized here. I could see a few like turnovers from the Steelers offense finally, where they don't get bailed out by the refs. I know they're at home, but I don't know. I guess the Jets fire their coach. It's going to be one of those like kind of galvanizing wins. They trade for Devontae. The team's going to be fired up, and then they'll go back to losing. But this is a terrible football game. It's going to be so boring. But yeah, I'll take the Jets, man. I just don't like what the Steelers are doing. Like making a quarterback change like this far into the season when you're 4-2 is stupid.
I agree. And Russell Wilson is washed. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. They were unwilling to name Justin Fields the starter the entire time Russell Wilson was out. I guess he just didn't play good enough. I don't know. I think this is exactly what you said is going to happen. As long as they can keep Aaron Rodgers upright, they should win this game going away. And that's my only fear is that TJ Watt knocks Aaron Rodgers out of this game because they can't protect him. You saw it last week. Bills were all over him. And they can run the ball versus the Jets too. But Najee Harris is uninspiring. Jalen Warren's just not 100%. George Pickens needs to be freed. Let's see if Russell Wilson frees him this week. But I just think Garrett Wilson on one side, Tyler Conklin in the middle, Breece Hall in the backfield, and Devontae Adams on the other side will just be too much. I'm surprised it's only 2. I really am. I watched the Cowboys go in last Sunday night or Sunday night before and steal a win versus a vaulted Steeler defense at home under the lights. I could see the same thing happening here, man. I'm not saying they're overrated. I'm just saying they just don't have enough, man. That secondary is going to get torched. This might be one of my favorite bets, too. If I win any kind of money during the day, I'm going to roll it all on the Jets here because they really believe this, that they could go to the Super Bowl now. They really believe this. I don't know why, but they really believe it. And if they believe it, they're going to go out and they're going to try to achieve it. Jets -2 is a play.
All right, going into the Monday night slate here, we have the doubleheader Monday night slate, the Ravens and Buccaneers. Tough game to call. Both these teams are pretty nuclear hot right now, I suppose. I mean, this is momentum versus momentum here. And the Bucs are at home. They play really well at home, but gosh, it looks like the Ravens are playing their best football like in the entire season right now. I don't know. I don't know what to think of this game. I mean, it's going to be a good one. This is actually a pretty decent Monday Night Football matchup here. And the line is -3.5 for the Ravens. I'll take the Bucs. I'll take that field goal. They can put up points. I like the over in this one. It's set at 50. I don't think that's enough, honestly. Give me the field goal. Just from what I've seen from them, I know they blew out a bad Saints team, but they have figured out their offense like crazy, man. I mean, Baker is putting up big numbers right now, and the Ravens I have seen get sliced and diced. I mean, the Raiders went into Baltimore and sliced and diced them. Why can't the Buccaneers, who are actually a competent team, go and at home and do that too? They could win this game. I don't have the utmost confidence that the Ravens are unbeatable. And if I'm getting the field goal at the hook, then yeah, man, give me the Bucs at home for sure here.
I love the Bucs here too. Bucs play well under the lights. Baker Mayfield does not get his flowers from some of y'all, and you need to start, man. Guys found a home. Baker Mayfield's in the MVP category right now. Him, Sam Darnold, Lamar, they're right there, man. And they're going to be galvanized to play. Mike Evans suited up today. He's practicing now. Bringing Sean Tucker to go with Bucky Irving. 2 nice finds in the backfield. I know Rachaad White's still mid, but they can run the ball enough. I mean, they beat up a very good Eagles defense, which it's questionable whether they're better than the Ravens. I think they're similar. And if Lamar doesn't go nuclear, I mean, what's he going to do? They don't throw the ball a whole hell of a lot. So let's say, for instance, like the Buccaneers get up in this game. Now what? Mark Andrews has been a ghost this year. Likely is on again, off again, and Bateman's just mid. I mean, I could see a world where the Bucs win the game outright, but I'll take the 3.5 points, no problem. Chris Godwin has been on another level. Ever since Chris Godwin's wife came out in the press and complained, sometimes, man, having a good woman to ride for you is like nothing better, man. I tell you, because like they moved him back to the slot, and now he looks like Jerry Rice. Chris Godwin's a real
It's his
threat.
natural position. Yeah,
It's where he should be. You guys keep messing with stuff that doesn't need to be messed with. He is a natural slot receiver, and he is very slippery. And you're seeing it this year's going crazy. He's having a career year. I love the Buccaneers here. Dude, I'm not saying the Ravens are fool's gold because you still have to deal with Derrick Henry, okay? But, like, let's not act like teams don't slow Derrick Henry down. Derrick Henry is a model of consistency in some other universe. He is either 3 touchdowns and 200 yards rushing or 19 carries for 42 yards. That's Derrick Henry. That's who he is. And I think it could be more of the latter than the former here. Bucks point plus 3.5 is the play.
last game of the doubleheader. It is the Chargers versus the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are a hard team to assess. It's kind of hard to know what you're going to get out of them on a week-to-week basis, but I'm sure this line is probably pretty close. I'm guessing the Chargers are favored. Yeah, -2. I don't like the Chargers. I really don't. I think the Cardinals can just put up enough points. I mean, if you can put up 20 points against the Chargers,
You can win.
that's it. That's all you have to do because they can't move the ball. I mean, you could see this coming. They had no offensive weapons. I don't know what they. I mean, this is kind of a wash season for them, truthfully. And I guess they probably knew that. You know, you try to draft an offensive lineman for the future. They got the best one out of the draft, and that's about all they got going for them, man. It's Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson and Gus Edwards. I know J.K. Dobbins has had a pretty good year. That's about it, though. Like going down the line. So this isn't a game I'm going to hold my hat on or, put a bunch of money into, but I'll take the Cardinals at home. I think they can put up 20 points. They've proven at the very least that they can score. And yeah, if I get plus points out of it at home, I'll take that side of it, I suppose.
Cardinals are going to win this game outright. MHJ has cleared the concussion protocol. This is a team that can score points. Kyler Murray under the lights should be good enough to beat up a banged-up Charger team. Quentin Johnson hasn't practiced. Ladd McConkey's not 100%. J.K. Dobbins is a walking injury, and Justin Herbert has been limping all season long. Why are they favored in this game, dude? Why? Josh Palmer? Come on, man. Like, really? Hayden Hurst? I mean, I know it's Jim Harbaugh, but I just have a funny feeling MHJ under the lights for the first time, coming off a concussion, he's going to want to ball out. How are they underdogs at home here? Something's up with this line, man. I mean, the Chargers are not good. Like you said, if you could score 20 points, you could beat the Chargers. I mean, the Chiefs beat them, and they only scored 17 points in L.A. Now you're going to go on the road banged up and beat this team? I don't know, man. I really love Arizona here. I think they can control the field with James Conner. MHJ is back. Can we please get Trey McBride more involved? Trey McBride has been a ghost this year. If you get that guy going, this is going to be a resounding Cardinal W. I don't trust LA anywhere.
That's it. That is a slate. I'll quickly show my best bet. I haven't had the best record just calling games, but I actually have had a decent little run here with my teaser bets. That's why I just love doing them. You get a little bit more than double your money back. But the Washington Commanders, I bought an extra half point this week, so I get the -3. Love that one. I -9.5 is rough, but if I get -3 at home against the Panthers or the Commanders, I love that. I talked about it. If I can get, I don't think the Jaguars are 12 points better than any team in the National Football League. I mean, if the Patriots get blown out by the Jags, I'd seriously be shocked, especially in those international games. They're usually like kind of slugfests for the most part. These are two bad teams. I don't see the Jags having a crazy game. And then I like the Cincinnati Bengals +1. Like I said, I think the Browns are just on fire. Like their whole team is falling apart. So I'm betting on that happening this week. So that's my 3-team teaser.
That's it, guys. That's the slate. Spencer's spoken. You know what it is. World of Matchups bringing the heat every single Saturday. Bye week is over. We are back. Be careful out there with your money. You know, you don't want to have to pawn your wife's wedding ring to, pay off the mafia. Just be smart. We're just two guys with regular lives, regular wives, regular jobs, just having some fun with football. So if you got a problem with gambling, gamblersanonymous.org is a real thing, man. Reach out. I've had to do it in the past. I'm not going to front, you know what I mean? And today we got to a point where I'm just having some fun with this thing. Couple dollars here, couple dollars there. That's it, man. Spencer, enjoy the games, and we'll be back next week. You guys take care. God bless. We're out.
I'll see you guys.